Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now. I've got a question from Max's a boy, and he's asking, Chris, I'm active on YouTube, but I just can't get the points. Why is that? So he must have the YouTube account connected to his Empire Avenue account.
So it sounds more likely they're in like the lower single digits. Again, you can post videos, but unless you're doing like thousands, which I don't know very many people that do thousands, it's about the interaction, who's viewing them, the commenting, the liking on the YouTube. It's all about that interaction.
That's what's nice is that all my YouTube subscribers, I've encouraged them, of course, as everybody does, to comment and rate, subscribe. Now they can actually increase their dividends by doing just that. It's really nice to have. Aloha Aaron asks, or I guess she has searched something here, not to forget the 5% commission can eat into your profits. Could the 5% commission potentially hurt your net worth then if you're buying and selling too quickly?
Absolutely. Some of that is put in place obviously to prevent the gaming, but it is also a game mechanic. You're not going to get money for nothing, I guess.
And that makes sense. Do you have a good tip in terms of the UX of the site right now? Blaster's not listening. Sorry, someone else got kicked from the chat room from posting a link. Do you have a way of kind of looking at a number in terms of how much you got back if that's hit the 5% threshold? And knowing that you've passed it, so if you're ready to dump a stock, you don't want to dump it if you've lost money on it, even if it seems to be that you're up some. Do you have an easy way of kind of looking at the numbers on a page to know whether or not it's enough time has passed?
Not really at this point. We are working on enhancing the portfolio. A lot of the information is kind of more useful in the portfolio management, not so much on the profile page. Something we're definitely looking at, and Niall, one of the other developers, and I we're working on some of that today.
Okay, here we go. Just looking. Sorry, I'm scrolling through. I'm scrolling through chat. Those questions were asked a while ago here. I guess I'm causing issues in chat with people posting links and moderators who aren't listening to the live stream having issues. Someone's asking, JP17, I need to make more money on Empire Avenue. How do I do this? I mean, it's a pretty simple, or I guess a common question. What are your suggestions if we're not kind of rehashing what we've already said?
There's a couple different ways. You can, go through and purchase luxury items that give you a boost. Or you can use your real money if you have that ability and purchase, Eves through PayPal. You can also do through our current vendor using super rewards. You can go and complete tasks, such as one is you sign up for a Discover card and you get X amount of Eves in return for doing that. The super rewards, which is available if you go to the Eves tab up in the navigation and you scroll down below. The images for purchasing Eves, you'll see the super rewards, and they have a ton of tasks and that you can complete in order to gain some more Eves without having to spend money via PayPal.
We've got Corey ECW, I believe, asking, Chris and Aaron, do you have to stay so active to keep your stock up? Yes or no?
Yes and no. Again, you don't have to be on the site all the time to gain benefit or to increase your site. And the main calculations on your share price is split between your social media activity and your activity on the site. If you are active and engaged with people, in Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and everything like that, again, that's going to keep your price up, if not, continuing to grow.
We had some statement in the chat room saying this is boring yawn, and I don't know if we can let this person know that there's a lot of things to do on the internet, not just tune into a video that you're not interested in. But apparently his internet connection only allows him to watch this video. Do you have anything to say about that, Aaron? He's bored, and apparently this is our problem.
1 second. Moderators, don't boot me from the chat. I'm gonna drop in the link.
Okay, don't boot. Don't boot. Please don't boot Aaron. Don't boot Aaron. Don't boot Aaron. Please don't boot him. I hope to God. Got a question here. While I hope that if you post a link, nothing's going to happen. Angry asks, are there going to be any added features to the community pages to make them more of a community? For example, photo albums and video galleries.
Sorry, one more time. About communities, are we adding more features?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a development roadmap, and communities is a big item on that list. We realize that there are some limitations to the communities. Dupes and I launched the communities in 3 days, months ago, and if you've ever been involved in web development or even software development, that 3 days is a really quick time. So absolutely down. We have a plan on how we think to better the communities, make them more engaging, and allow people to be more interactive with one another.
I've got a question again from either Jean or Jean. I'm not exactly sure how to say it. CA. Is it a good idea to invest in only a few people that you are sure going to give you a good investment, or I guess a good return on your investment, or invest in a lot of people that might do you some good? So it seems to me that she's asking a question a lot of people ask, and the answer, my answer, and Aaron, you may differ in this, is that's up to you. Everybody plays the game differently. There are people who are in it for the long haul, and there are people who are in it for shorter investment periods. And I found something that works, that does what I want it to do. What I want is more Eves faster. So I'm interested in generating, and once I stop or that generation slows, I'm interested in moving on and trying something else. Though that being said, I've actually been holding on to more of my investments and selling, and now that I've kind of sold off a lot of the ones that really weren't performing, and really only looking for things that I think are going to be both short-term and long-term investment. I only invest in people who are likely going to grow. And that's my answer, again, is that you're talking about two different strategies. They might be able to coexist, but ultimately you have to decide that for yourself, what works best for you. To me, it's completely different to what it's going to be for you. And apparently, I think it was ECW says that I'm full of BS, which I wouldn't disagree with that.
No, again, it goes back to you get out of it what you put into it. Empire Avenue is what you make of it. For me, the content stream that you get on EA Home, the dashboard, that's probably the most beneficial site for myself because it allows me to pick and choose who I want to see and read that content. I can filter that content. And it's not just Twitter. I'm pretty active on Twitter. I really enjoy the medium. But using Empire Avenue and that kind of stream of information allows me to, get out of it what I want to. It's not my goal to, have the highest share price, although, it would be nice, but I've got too many things going on in order to kind of track that goal down.
See, yeah, my approach, and I tried to establish this even in writing up the tips on my blog, is to not just have a good portfolio, a growing portfolio, but and that doesn't mean investing in everybody, certainly, but certainly returning appropriately a good amount of dividends, and that likely is going to be moving forward, trying to keep that number 1.0 or higher. I don't know if I'm going to be able to supersede that without being a content interacting, pumping machine.
Yeah, we've had some people in the past that have, I think they've taken vacations or pseudo vacations from their real lives and work in order to do that pumping action of nonstop interaction, creating Facebook fan pages and tweeting every 5 seconds, and you get to a point where it's just unsustainable and it's artificial. And I think the most benefit you're going to get out of is just be yourself. Do your normal activity, and you'll notice over time that you'll become more and more engaged. And you'll get that benefit from that.
T-Silb said, "Wait, you're not a content interactive pumping machine? This is news." That's funny. Creighton, who's also, I've been kind of working with him too, and the tips that I've given have definitely improved his game. So I know I am not just full of BS. On the Empire Avenue homepage, I see messages sent from users I don't know to users I'm invested with. Is there a way to only see messages from people I hold stock in? Is this a plan for the future?
You can do some of that now with the filtering of the headlines. You can kind of filter through some of that. Again, we're always trying to, the site's always evolving, and we have plans, but it's literally 3 of us and some part-time consultants, kind of doing all the development. So some of this will take time, but if you filter the headlines on the very left side of the page, and then also by type, it becomes a little bit more manageable.
Oh, that's a good tip. I didn't know that. I may play around with that. We've got a... Oh, go ahead.
I just want to ask how many people clicked that link that I dropped in the chat.
Oh, careful. A lot of people did, and don't post another link. Apparently, one of our moderators isn't listening, so he's being a little heavy-handed. So I would just post the link to Twitter. That's safe. Post the link to Twitter. But people did click on it, and they appreciated whatever you posted. I'll have to go back and look. We have a question from SJN92, and it seems kind of general, though. Chris, is it a good idea to invest in people from the very beginning? And I'm not really sure how to answer that question other than I think it's best to look at what's going to be a good investment and invest in in them. And to me, a rookie mistake is investing in your friends. And I know I catch a lot of heat for this, but usually your friends on this website are some of the worst investments you could possibly make. And if you're in it to generate more points or eaves, your friends likely aren't going to turn those dividends around in a decent amount of time.
For me, I invest in everybody, or not everybody, the people that I can, in order to, discover, what they're about, what they're doing. Because kind of Twitter's my main focus, I immediately go to your Twitter page and I read your content first, and then from there I'll make my decision. So it's going to be different for every person, but I would definitely say, the only way you're going to find new investments, new people, and new content is by doing that.
Let's see here. Will options trading ever come to the site?
I'm not sure at this point. It's kind of up in the air.
Wham2. Chris, I hit a 0.42 on my dividend and only had my quote-unquote stock a week. Am I off to a good start? What would you say, Aaron?
I would say absolutely. If you're only on the site for a week, the market makers just haven't had enough time to really go through all of your content. So anything over like a 0.3, I would say is doing pretty well.
Yeah, and that's kind of been my what I've seen as well in exploring users and seeing who's new, who's been around for a while, and the number of shareholders, as well as their stock price and dividends or the percentage of dividends that are paid out to the shareholders. I think that's pretty good, but I'd always ask them, I'm like, well, how's that relative to your stock price? Like, good is relative.
Absolutely.
Will there be a way to buy products online with a currency on Empire Avenue? So asks Blake John Emery.
Possibly. It's definitely an option available to us. It's a little too early to kind of go down that direction, I think. We're really focused on growing the virality of the site and, trying to get this in front of as many people as possible and convey, the usefulness of what we're trying to do.
Creighton asks, if you could do us a favor, what are the ideal numbers we want to see on the ranking with our networks? I know 100 is the best, but what are you seeing the average or ideal is right now?
That's those questions. It's going to be different for every person. For myself, if I can keep my Twitter above kind of in between the 35 and 40 range, that's really good. I think on Empire Avenue, my score is currently 25, but really engaged users, they're in that 40 to 50 range. Facebook is, if you're in the teens, I think you're doing pretty good. A lot of people are much, much higher than that. Again, it's really, what you put into it. There's no right answer for every single person.
Yeah, no, I tend I've seen the same thing. Like it's going to be different for everybody. On Twitter, what kind of things factor into your social network score? Is it everything you do, or just specific things that make your social network score go up?
I'd have to look at the code, but we're pulling everything from the Twitter API, so we take into consideration the retweets, the mentions, how many times, or how far down the chain your tweet goes. What else? There's a couple others. I just can't think of everything off the top of my head, but it's unlike everybody else is trying to influence scoring, we're not looking at, the superficial stuff about how many bots follow you. It's really, again, I don't mean to be a broken record, but it's really about the interaction. So everything that's an interaction based.
Bot was kicked and banned from the server by Raven.
Sorry about that mumble. Apparently someone was kicked and banned from the server. I think we got most of that, though. Thank you. We have a question from Twitter. This is Dream, that's Dreamm on Empire Avenue, Christian Chong. She asks, and I'm going to attempt to answer the question, then I'll pass it over to you, Aaron. Should I dump a stock that shows a negative dividend on the first day? And I say it depends. If the ratio the ratio of the stock price in relation to the dividends and how much you get of those dividends is so far out of whack, the stock price is overinflated, dump it. If you're still positive, as in you haven't lost on your investment, or you haven't lost too much on your investment in that user, I say stick with it. Stick with it and set an alert. So if the stock price set an alert, if the stock price drops a couple more points, then you may consider dumping them because they may be on a downward trend. As that happens, more stock holders will leave. They may not come back, and that's fine because the stock price will potentially eventually come back up, and that will create a higher ratio and potentially create what I call a sleeper, an account that's really no longer active or off the radar that nobody knows about, that can create amazing returns. Aaron?
I play more for the long term. If you're down, I'm not gonna shoot from the hip and dump your stock right away, and that's obviously a little bit different than what you suggested in your blog post, which is really great, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but I do more for the long term. I take many things into consideration, the quality of your content. So I'm actually reading your tweets and your Facebook stuff and watching your videos. If I lose interest or I don't think it's very interesting to me anymore, then I'll take that into consideration when I decide to get rid of your stock.
Yeah, and as I've encouraged everybody, I'm like, hey, the more you comment in my YouTube videos or thumbs up, and the more I see the stuff that you're doing that I comment or thumbs up, tweeting on Twitter, posting on Facebook, all this stuff accelerates everybody's growth, and that's the type of thing that I happen to like about really what you guys have put together. MacMan asks, why is there an investing limit on new users? And I think that he means you can only go 200 shares into a new user up for the first week.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's twofold. One is we try not to overwhelm new users. There's so much going on when you first sign up to the site that we're trying to kind of limit the shock and awe of what's going on. I had somebody ask me the other day, how many bots do we have automatically buying a new user when they sign up? I was like, well, we don't have any bots. That's all of our users. That's you guys, in there just like pouncing on these new users, buying up all their shares. And the other side of that is it's also to help kind of limit the crazy inflation that happens. Eventually the market will course correct. But, sometimes there will be overinflation. But like the real stock market, it's really, really hard to prevent that.
See, I don't see a lot of that course correction, and I think that's dictated by traditional social networking behavior. And I try to clarify this in the post that I did tonight on Empire Avenue. On my blog about Empire Avenue. People sometimes will hold on to a stock even when it's not valuable. It's just bad. Is there a reason why they would do that other than hoping the stock will bounce back and the returns could be greater by having held on to it?
So, sometimes yes. Sometimes it's your friends, and people don't like to sell their friends. And some people really, it's not about the price of the dividends. It's about being able to get a hold of somebody and digest that content that they're producing.
And when you say digest that content that they're producing, what do you mean?
There aren't very many places to get every bit of content that somebody creates, because we're all creating content. We're all creating information on the interwebs. There's very few places that bring it all into one place like we do. So holding on to a stock that might not be performing, I'm doing that so that I can see, what this person is about. I can get all their blog posts without having to sign up to an RSS feed. I can get all their tweets and their Facebook in one place, see all their videos, see that they posted a video. So I'm on the site, I'm already doing activities on the site, and now I can see all of your content and your activity as well.
Yeah, no, it's nice to see Twitter and Facebook updates and of course links that come through. Can't wait for more rich interactivity, like being able to see more than just a thumbnail or a small thumbnail flicker, or seeing an embedded YouTube video. It's really going to be a lot of fun. And speaking of site features, and this will be the last question, I think we'll actually I want to take two more questions, I guess. Chris, what do they think on doing to the mail? Because a few days ago you were saying that the mail system in EA was bad, and I know you guys just did a round of updates, but it's kind of low man on totem pole, it seems, in terms of site functionality.
That's a great question. If you want to see what we're going to be doing with mail on the site, log in and check out the Facebook app. It's kind of a rethinking of what Empire Avenue is. There's no community interaction. It's more about the buying and selling, which is kind of the core of what we're doing. But the mail system in the Facebook app is by far heads and tails better than the current system. And eventually, really soon, we're actually working on this. We're going to be moving over those changes to make the mail much, much better than what it is now.
So I can interact with my mail account through Facebook?
Yeah, if you go to facebook.com/Empire Avenue, you can actually log into the Facebook app.
I'll do it. Sorry,
go ahead.
No, I said I'll do it because I didn't know that you could check your mail from the Facebook account. That's awesome.
Pretty much everything is in the Facebook app except for the communities, which just didn't make any sense for Facebook. It would have been too much, I think. But yeah, the mail's there. The mail on the Facebook is really, really nice, very slick.
I think I know the answer to this question, if only because I've had a couple of fake accounts pop in and then get deleted, and with no negative consequences to me if there were any investments made in me. MacMan asks, if a user closes their account, what happens to their investments and to the people who have invested in them?
So what happens is when the account is closed, or if it's a bogus account and we go in and remove that account, then your shares are refunded at the current share price. So a lot of times you actually make a little bit of fees in those transactions.
Aren't you afraid of people kind of gaming the system in that capacity to try to boost each other?
Back in the early days, and it sounds like we've been around for years, so this is actually probably like 3-4 months ago, we put some pretty hefty security measures in place to limit that. It's almost impossible nowadays to actually gain any real advantage from creating bogus accounts and doing that.
Fair enough. All right, I think we've wrapped it up for now. We were speaking with Aaron White, who is I think he referred to himself as an alchemist from Empire Avenue. I've got my strategy and tips at go.tagjag.com/empire tips. It's been one of the most addictive games that I've ever played. Oh, thank you. Director of Digital Alchemy, Aaron. That's Aaron right there. And he's on Twitter at Aaron. Is it at Aaron K. White on Twitter?
Yes.
Fantastic. And when these videos get posted, we'll be sure to put them out there for the Empire Avenue community to watch, listen, rate, and thumbs up and comment, because I'm sure a lot of people on YouTube are still wondering, what is this?